Citizens of the Republic, welcome to episode 1 of Diner Talk, a Star Wars podcast, the greatest Star Wars podcast of all time, even though it's the first episode. Here, hosted on the StarWarsCS channel, the peak of Star Wars content, of course. My name's Logan. I'm joined by my co-host, Mark. And with this podcast, we're going to be talking about everything Star Wars, essentially. There's no limits, no bounds to it. A lot of current things, to be honest, but hey, we might go back and just do some random stuff as well. If you don't know about our channel, about a little over a year ago, we had a show that we called the Galactic Core. There were 13 episodes of it, I think. And it was a very fun thing. It was a segmented show, and one of the segments was Diner Talk. And we were here in Dexter's Diner, of course, like we are right now. And that show ended, and it's kind of transformed now. And Diner Talk, a Star Wars podcast, is just an extension of that, bringing back the diner and giving us another place to just talk about Star Wars. So, for the first episode, we're mainly going to be talking about Skeleton Crew, since it just ended. This episode will be coming out a week after the finale, so it's fresh in everyone's mind still, I hope, because it was phenomenal.
Very good.
How are you currently feeling about Skeleton Crew, in terms of like kind of comparing it to all the shows?
Now that I've had some time to sit on it, I'm not as upset about the ending, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was a little like, I wanted the ending to have some closure, but
yeah,
thinking about it over, I don't hate it as much, which helps it boosts it for me.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's at least, like I said, I'm still sticking with that top 5. Honestly, might be top 3. It might be Andor, Mando, and Skeleton Crew for me. Honestly,
okay, I feel you on that.
Might be that top 3 for me.
Yeah, we've already had this discussion. My top 3 right now is probably Andor, Bad Batch, and Skeleton Crew at the moment. It is it's a charming story. It really is.
Yeah, it's a standalone type of thing, right? It's its own story. The characters, I think all the characters are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
The story was obviously very well put together. Had a great ending. The premise of the show is great. Like, I can't really, I don't know if I can really narrow down a thing that I really dislike about it.
Exactly. I'm the same way.
Like, it was every episode was just peak. It really was. I can't really explain it any better.
And I think all the actors killed it as well.
Yes.
I mean, if we're singling someone out, Jude Law, obviously, he murdered it, because
he always kills it.
I feel like it's such a, I don't want to say it's a complex character, because it's really not. Jod is a very straightforward character, but I love the way he's presented, where you're following him and he puts off the energy that he's a good guy. He's trying to help the kids. He just wants them to get home. He wants to not be involved with the pirates. He's putting on the act, and he does things that just support that. Like, he actually does good things, but all those good things are done to further benefit him and his overall plan. And him to eventually flip that switch right when he challenges Fern to be captain. And literally in that moment, all the kids are terrified of him.
Yes.
Whereas I literally think it is the episode before that, he saves them. when they're on Ad Akron.
Yes.
Shout out Akron,
Yep.
Ohio, the worst place on earth.
Yep.
They're on Ad Akron, and he saves them, and they're like hugging him after it, thanking him for it, and then literally the next episode, he turns.
Yeah, like that is top tier acting. Like you have to have your, and even like not just that too, but like at the end, like when he was explaining like what happened to him, like in the past and why the way he is the way that he is, like his emotions, the way he delivered his lines. Like obviously we knew like it's Jude Law, so we know his acting's gonna be top tier. But he absolutely killed the role, and that turn, like you were kind of like, oh, is he gonna turn? Is he not gonna turn? And then he turned, and it was over at that point. Like I knew that he was definitely gonna be, for me, the biggest. I guess not the biggest, my favorite thing about the show.
Okay. So you said you like how it ended. Now
that I'm thinking about it, I honestly don't hate it. I really don't. I kind of do. I like I said before, I am definitely like a closure guy. Like I definitely like it to have a solidified ending.
Mm-hmm.
But looking back on it, it's actually not the worst ending that I've seen. So.
And I don't think if they eventually do a second season, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. But if they end up doing a second season, I don't think they will. I don't think they'll go over how everything actually panned out in the end. Like we'll kind of throughout the start of it get the explanation of like what everyone's doing now that Ad-Aten is not hidden and protected by the barrier and will probably be part of the New Republic.
Yeah.
Like that will just come naturally. I don't even know if they'll like do a formal thing of what happened to Jod. I think it's just going to be something that would pop up in one of the probably first few episodes that we just it's a kind of two separate things going on sort of deal.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So I think the way that they ended it plays well into that.
True. Yeah.
And it's like a lot of it is just in implied ending. Like we just know. I mean, all the kids. Like, I think it's so weird how a lot of people will say that we didn't get a proper ending on certain things when like if we don't follow the characters to death.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
I know exactly.
Like I could sit here and be like, "Oh, okay, the show ended. Wim's a child. What does he do for the rest of his life? I don't have that closure. I don't know what he did for the rest of his life." That's not the point of it. The story ended.
Yes, the story ended it.
That's it. Yeah, like the story doesn't end with the characters dying. The story ends when the story ends.
Yeah, and the story ends when they get back to Ad-Aten and the pirates are like defeated, right? Like they're not a threat anymore. And the New Republic flies in, so obviously you're like, okay, they got to join the New Republic. And then that's that. Like you said, it's not the characters. The story doesn't end with them. It ends when the plot is over, and the plot was over at that point. So another reason why I actually don't hate it as much either. Now that you say that,
it's like Bad Batch. Like Bad Batch season 3 ends. They're on Pabu. All right, we do get the epilogue, but
yeah,
like, oh, what do they do on Pabu? Yeah, we don't need to know that. The story ended.
I want to see their daily life.
Yeah, like that's just. I feel like that happens with a lot of Star Wars projects. Like things are just like, even though things are left open for there to be a possibility for something more, there doesn't necessarily need to be more.
Yeah, I get exactly what you mean, and I'm definitely starting to have that mindset as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I wanted to bring up talking about the finale more. So a big point that we also talked about in our reaction was the fact that there wasn't a flashback with Jod. He just he explains his backstory.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted a flashback to what was going on, and I have a couple things that the creators of the show have said. Hold on, I burgered. Actually, yeah, no, I'll bring this up. So the creators of the show said that they decided on not doing a flashback because it could definitely like hinder the pacing. It can kind of take you out of it, and it wasn't necessarily needed. It was the story is from the perspective of the children.
Yeah.
So they're obviously not going to see that flashback. That would be if it was from the perspective of Jod.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't need the flashback, and I like that we didn't get one because I think it gives it a little bit more power in his acting when he is explaining it.
Yes, 100%.
Like how much trauma he had from that. And
Yeah,
I mean, that just shows in his character, just the way that he acts.
Yeah, exactly. And like we kept talking about his performance, Jude Law, another great performance there in that scene, explaining his backstory.
But I did see today on Twitter. Well, I saw it on Twitter, but this is a post from an actress, Yasmin Al-Masri. I might be completely butchering the pronunciation there, but she posted on Instagram her in Jedi robes and said that she played a Jedi on Skeleton Crew and it was eventually cut from the finale. So they filmed a flashback scene. They actually filmed one and decided not to do it. And massive props to them for deciding on not doing it. The fact that you filmed it and you had it and you decided to not include it is ballsy.
Like, that takes guts.
Like, especially because Star Wars fans, like, there's a lot of Star Wars fans that just foam at the mouth of the thought of seeing a Jedi seeing a lightsaber. so to have some restraint and keeping your story very grounded and true to itself, props to them.
Yeah, like I wanted it at first, and obviously I would still like to see it when they filmed it. Like, I would like to see it now as like a standalone thing. But yeah, within the story, I'm actually glad they didn't add it now because, like you said, not only does it adds to the acting, right, and Jude Law's emotion.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing it from the kid's perspective. It adds to to his character because now it's like, okay, he was already like this mysterious guy where it's like, where is he really from? And now you're really wondering, like, okay, what really happened to this guy for him to be like this messed up, to go to the lengths that he goes to try to just get all the the Old Republic credits that he can and just rule over this planet. I had another thing. I've lost my train of thought though. On what I wanted to say after that.
You're good. You're good. Do you think it was a good decision for Jod to not have any sort of redemption arc?
I want to say yes, because the thing is, like, obviously we've talked about it before. Star Wars is all about redemption arcs.
Star Wars just is a massive redemption arc. Just
it really
you
is.
expect everyone to have one.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like it's not needed. And I don't know though, because he's Jod. at the end, the ending was a little weird because he just kind of like stared off, right? So I
Hmm.
don't know if he was having the second thoughts or not about what he did or what's gonna happen to him or what, but I'm glad that he didn't like go full on good.
Yeah.
Like he's still the bad guy in this story.
Yeah, and he stuck true to his plan throughout. Like
Exactly.
he didn't let
Yeah.
anything throw him off. But
Yeah,
he
and I don't.
also he said a lot of things like he didn't want to hurt anyone, and that's why he doesn't. He had so
That's
many
true.
opportunities to just kill people off.
That's very true.
So, and I think within those final scenes of him, there is just a lot of unspoken thoughts
Hmm.
that you can kind of gather where he after they blow up the barrier, he kind of accepts defeat. He throws down his gun. Yeah, and it's like they don't care anymore. They're not out to hurt him because he lost.
Yeah,
And
he did.
so
Yeah, his plan
he
failed.
doesn't have to threaten them.
Yeah.
And then when he's watching the pirate ship go down, I think as he's watching the pirate ship go down, I think it's kind of him really realizing that part of his life is over, because he was kind of he was in a stuck between a rock and a hard place there,
He really
because
was.
he was like they wanted him dead. They had him in the brig. He was
Yes.
probably gonna get killed. Then he comes back, like he's constantly trying to get on their good side because he's on their bad side.
Yes. Yeah.
And now the pirates are gone, he doesn't have to give a fuck. He's a free man. Unless the New Republic arrested him. But
Yes.
he's free from those chains. He's not tied to the pirates anymore.
Yeah,
And
his old life is behind him at that point. Yeah.
yeah, and you can tell that he is inherently a good guy with a lot of trauma that he is taking out on other people.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of jealousy as well. He sees how good of a life the kids live.
Yeah.
And like he has multiple scenes where like he calls them spoiled. Like they've never had to go through anything difficult. But he's saying that not because like he thinks they should have went through anything difficult so that they're more like him. He just is jealous that they haven't had to. He wants to live like them.
Yeah, because he never really got to have. Well, he never had that childhood that they had. Because obviously,
Yeah.
first off, he was growing up being a Jedi, right? And then Order 66. Why he said that he watched his master like try to fight off the clones.
Well, I don't think the way he explains it,
yeah, it was a little weird.
I don't think he was he wasn't trained for very long. And I think his master was probably killed by inquisitors, not like with clones.
That would make sense, yeah.
Because he talks about how they hunted her down and killed her, not just like shot her right there.
Yeah, which would have been, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he trained for very long at all, like whatsoever. So he very well could have been found by that Jedi after Order 66.
That's a good
like
point.
There's a very high possibility of that.
That's true.
Because he also doesn't say what age he was either when he was found. So I think it's implied that he is found after Order 66.
Yeah. Well, anyway, regardless, right? He didn't have a great upbringing, obviously. So his master gets hunted down. At this point, like, he's mad at the galaxy I feel like at this point, because he kind of he sees the. I mean, obviously the galaxy is a big, there's a huge dark side, right? So that's kind of what he saw, and like you said, he just eventually starts taking it out of other people because he has to literally like scrap, claw, fight to just stay alive, join the pirates, try to earn your fair share, this, that, and then eventually it catches up to him, and he's just trying to get rich at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely a tough upbringing for our boy Jod there, but
overall, I'm glad there was no redemption arc. I think it's perfect because, like, you could tell he's a good guy. Like, he doesn't need a redemption arc because he's already inherently a good guy.
Yeah,
he's just he's looking out for himself because of his past.
Yep, at his core, he is a good guy, and I think it felt like Wim, like he's still like at the end when he called out to him, we talked about it. Like he definitely still thought there was some good in him, and I think Jod kind of realized that too in that moment when he looked back. Maybe he kind of reflecting on what he did and how he was wrong in what he did, possibly.
Yeah, and I think when Jod looks back at them, he's probably like, damn, they won. Like,
yep.
like he's probably giving his props.
Yeah, those kids.
He's
really
like,
good.
I mean, I can't even hate. They did
mad.
that shit.
I can't even be mad.
So, I would love for a season 2 of the show. Obviously, I just think with how unique of a story it was, I think they could continue that and do another very unique season 2. I know that nothing's confirmed right now, obviously, but apparently the creators of the show had already thought about what a season 2 would look like before season 1 was even made. Which is good.
Yeah.
Because you're going into it already having a rough idea. But they said that it would be like a bit of a time jump. It would be like they would have to wait for the kids to age up a little bit. It would be bare minimum like 4 or 5 years. So it could be a long time until we get a season 2. I pray to God we do, because I think having now it like if this doesn't get a second season, then that's 2 straight shows back to back that have debuted and wouldn't be getting a second season. And then we had Ahsoka that came out not too long ago that I believe it's confirmed now that it is a second season that is happening. But when that was done, dude, I'm going to get off topic for just a slight second here because I'm just going to rage about Ahsoka. Dude, how on earth do you end the season like that?
Oh
Ahsoka
gosh.
and Sabine are in a separate fucking galaxy. You end the season like that, and you don't automatically know that there's a second season happening? A second season has not been greenlit, and you end the season like that?
And not only that,
what?
You have Valen standing like on the
yeah,
like the father was pointing out to something, and like you ended on that. Like come
bro,
on.
What the fuck are we doing?
It has to be greenlit. Like you have to make a second season of it.
And I think they kind of did that with the Acolyte too. It was very like the Acolyte ends at a spot where it could stand alone at one season, but there's a lot of things that they could expand upon and that they obviously want to. And then, I mean, it wasn't pre-greenlit. The season ends and then the show gets canceled. So now we're going into this not knowing if there's going to be a second season, but I think this is the one show recently that can stand alone at one season and still be great.
Yeah, that's on. I think it'd still be great too, but I did see what you were talking about them like having like the time jump. I had seen a tweet about that. Now obviously I don't know, like I have no idea what they would try to do for a plot of that.
Yep.
Do I want to see it? Of course I do. Season 1 was phenomenal, so of course I want to see a second season. But if they just decided, you know what, maybe it's better if they can't come up with like something like a plot, and it's gonna be tough too to try to come up with a plot that's like as good as the first season has. If they realize that, hey, maybe this probably isn't a good idea, and they leave it at 1, like you said, I still think it's great. I still think, and it works too. Like it has an ending, so you don't necessarily need to expand upon it, but you leave it just enough open to the point where if you want to do a second season, then you can. I feel like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I think a lot of when it comes to wanting another season of something, it's like obviously we want another season because we really like the show, so we are expecting another season that would also, be good. But I think we also sit here and I think we're, when you get to the end of a season of a show, like you have some attachment to the characters and you want to see more of them, and that's exactly how I feel.
I'm the same way. I really do. I love the characters. I thought they were all great.
And it's just, dude, the fact that we could make, we're out here, a lot of people are so stuck on wanting stories of existing characters, which I'm not opposed to.
Oh yeah.
But when we're making something this good that has all original characters, no cameos whatsoever in this show. Not a single one.
Yep, not a single one.
And they fucking killed it. All original characters, completely original story. Like, it's such a unique story within Star Wars. And people are gonna sit here and tell me that this show is ass. You could fuck off. Get out of here.
That's the insane thing to me, is people will sit there and say it's like not like say it's ass, but then it's like oh, did you even like watch it? Oh no, I didn't even watch it. It looks What do you mean it looks stupid? Dude, just watch like the first episode or two. I'm telling you, this is a good show, and it's almost like you said, like I'm not opposed to existing characters getting shows. Andor is an existing character. Bam, that was my favorite show so far that they made off of Star Wars. This completely standalone, new characters, no cameos, nothing, in its top 3 for me. Like you can do both and have them be successful. Like it's not like it's not like an Unreal thing where it's like you can make a standalone show and it'd be really good. Of course you can do it. And this show is an testament to that, I feel like.
And I think the worst criticism of this show is people saying that it's a kid's show. And that's a lot of people's reasons for not watching it as well. And
those are probably the same people that say that the Clone Wars is a kid's show too, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. But also the fact that they're like, people are dying. They're like, it's war. Maybe they're like, oh, that's more catered towards adults. Because I mean, Clone Wars has its dark moments.
Oh,
every show does.
Exactly.
But also, every show can be enjoyed by kids. Star Wars is meant to be enjoyed by kids. I don't know why the fuck we're trying to change Why are we trying to change the narrative there?
That's the thing that I don't think people understand is that Star Wars can literally be enjoyed by everybody, right?
Yeah.
It's everybody can enjoy. There's something here for everybody. Even in
And
like the quote unquote kids show. Like, dude, this is top 3.
yeah. Like the fact that I'm watching this show and like there's a lot of kid-centered stuff in it, mainly because the main characters are fucking children.
Yes.
They like they have the whole thing where it kind of comes full circle. Uh what do they say when
So then
shit, Fern says claimsies.
claimsies.
And like they did that in like the second episode or first episode, whichever one where they find the ship.
Yeah.
It was the first episode where they find the ship and like they're calling claimsies on it. And it's like that is obviously like such a kid thing, but if you can't like see the humor in that as an adult, I don't know, I think you're weird.
Yeah, like how do you not like laugh? How do you not at least like chuckle at it?
Like you can't laugh at a kid being a kid?
Like, have you ever been around a kid?
Or yeah. And then like how are you going to say it's for kids when Jod, the fucking main character, is literally the whole premise of his character is that he has major childhood trauma and he is taking it out on everyone else. Like, I don't know, man. Look in the mirror. You might have some yourself. That's like what are we saying? Like maybe you can relate to this, dude. It's now stop being a bitch and going to a kids show and watch a show, man.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's a kids show. It's not like that. What's that one show that is literally like a kid, like a toddler show?
Oh, Young Jedi Adventures.
That's a kids show.
That's literally actually completely centered towards under 8 years old.
Yes, like that is a kids show.
And I've seen people on Twitter say that is unironically a really good show.
Yeah.
Which I mean, that's something like I haven't watched it, but I'll watch like some people won't watch the animated shows. Like Bad Batch, Clone Wars, and Rebels, because they like it's animated, so they think it's lesser. I'm not gonna lie to you, the Star Wars animation might be better than live action. I'm sorry.
It's no doubt for me that it competes with live action. Like there's no doubt.
I will say, I think the addition of Skeleton Crew makes it harder to say that animation is better than live action now.
That is very true, because I mean, like I said, in my top three is actually 3 live action shows. So I guess for me, I do enjoy the live action stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit better, but dude, Bad Batch is like phenomenal. Clone Wars is phenomenal. They're very close, and to say that this is a kids show too, it's like, I mean, this is a pretty good production for a kids show. Like the production and the quality, and like for a kids show, they put a lot of money in there.
Yeah, I don't know how expensive of a show this was. Dude, I would think it would be pretty high. If this was cheaper than The Acolyte, I'm gonna be honest with you, they must have been burning money with The Acolyte. They literally had to have lit a fire out back the studio they were filming at and just fucking thrown it on the fire.
So it looks like Skeleton Crew, the budget was around 136 million. That's
for the whole season.
Yes.
Okay. And
obviously The Acolyte was like 200 plus more. It was like 200 plus million, I think.
Bro.
Like 220 or something.
Dog, what? That blows my mind. Because I feel like Skeleton Crew did so many more things that would have costed more.
230 million for Acolyte, yeah.
What?
Yeah, they did, because remember they did the 28.7 million per episode. I remember that.
Bro, I swear to God, they've got to be burning money. Was the Acolyte a money laundering scheme, bro? Like, what the fuck?
It might have been, dude.
Like, I'm not even hating on the show. I just don't understand. Like, bro, Skeleton Crew, like, we're flying through fucking space in half the episodes. I can't imagine the fucking cost of the VFX on that shit. We go on the pirate planet. How many fucking extras are there? And they're all aliens and shit.
Yeah. Yes.
No, we have multiple planets. Bro, the Acolyte is like 4 planets. And a bunch of them are like the same set pieces. Dude, I'm mind blown.
That is hilarious.
I'm mind blown at that.
That is hilarious. That is like almost 100 million less.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
That is wild. That is absolutely wild.
Well, do you like? I think we've talked about this. Do you like seeing Star Wars stories that aren't centered around Jedi or the Force? Which, granted, in this, Jod is Force sensitive. You see him with a lightsaber, but do you like that it's really kind of disconnected from that?
Because Andor my favorite. Andor is my favorite show.
Yeah.
So that if you do it right, and in this case, in Andor's case, they did it right. They killed it.
Yeah.
So I literally have Bad Batch killed it. Like I have no problems with there not being lightsabers and Jedi and Sith and the Force. You know what I mean? Like I am completely cool with it being separate because it gives you a new perspective too of like, and if you're doing these shows within these time periods, like there's not really that many Force users obviously either.
Yeah.
So it gives you a good perspective on what life is like after the Force. Like there's really not like many Force users. I think it's great. I really do enjoy the kind of moving away from the Force in some shows. Because like I said, Andor killed it. Skeleton Crew killed it. Like I'm all for, like, I don't need every show to have a Jedi or a Force user or whatever. I don't need that.
Mm-hmm. I'm 100% with you. Do you personally, would you consider Skeleton Crew for you to be peak Star Wars? What you define as peak Star Wars, I mean, that's a question you gotta ask yourself. But
when I think of peak, I think of Anakin versus Obi-Wan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think of, I can straight up just tell you Andor season 1, like that's peak. Mando season 1 and 2, like that's peak. Honestly, it might be creeping that peak Star Wars range for me.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, like I said, the acting is phenomenal. Everybody killed it. Story was great. Plot was great. I loved that and being like a secret planet nobody knew about where the Republic just made their credits. It makes perfect sense. The other, like, we got to see another planet that was like that, but it was completely deserted, blown up. It was everybody's fighting against each other. Like overall, there's so many good things that I think it might be in that peak Star Wars range for me personally. Like this might be a must watch if you like ask me like what you should watch. This might be one of the things I'm like, you gotta watch this. Like this is like this might be peak Star Wars.
I also really like that it can be a standalone story. Like,
Yeah,
you
that
don't
too.
have to watch other things to understand it.
Yeah.
I personally would say I would consider it peak Star Wars, because I think this is just Star Wars at its best, where it is just it's an original story. We've got all brand new characters. The Force is like a myth. The Jedi are a myth in this. Wim is just like it is. He's absolutely blown away at the idea of Jedi.
Yeah.
And we get to see it used just barely. We're not like over. We don't get force fed it, like of a whole show surrounded by the Force. It's massive world building here. Like, we are learning about how the Republic got its money. We've got a bunch of planets that are hidden from the rest of the galaxy because of the treasure that they hold. And I just think that whole premise and having something original like that is the perfect thing for Star Wars. Something that was needed recently, because I think there's so many things that are so connected that this is just off by itself, and is one of the best things they've ever made.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm on the side of its peak Star Wars. I will say I probably have a much wider range of what I consider peak Star Wars. But it is peak Star Wars to me. Like, peak Star Wars is, like you were saying, the Anakin versus Obi-Wan. Like, one thing that I'd consider peak Star Wars that some people might not, The Outpost, the Bad Batch episode, The Outpost.
Oh,
That's
a good
that
one.
is peak Star Wars.
That's a good one. I like that
like
one.
shit like that, man. It's just they killed it.
Yes, absolutely.
We've kind of talked about a couple topics that maybe have covered a little bit of this, but I want to talk about how this might possibly affect Star Wars in the future, because we talked about this a lot with after we watched the finale of The Acolyte, and we kind of went on this whole rant of, I mean, something we've already talked about in this episode. We talked about the budget. We talked about that. We talked about it getting canceled after one season. Just like not letting a show breathe and continue and possibly get even better. So now going into Skeleton Crew, we're a season in. It has its fan base. The Acolyte has its fan base, and it still got canceled. Skeleton Crew has its little niche fan base, just like a bunch of the other shows do, and it's got its people that don't like it. But it is very critically acclaimed. Very.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I think after the finale, like the show as a whole on Rotten Tomatoes was at like a 90-something%.
Yeah, it was over 90.
Like, the critics are loving this shit. Understandably so.
Very understandably.
But it has like the lowest viewership of a live action Star Wars show, at least in terms of the premiere. I don't know if it could really drag in any viewership over time of people like eventually getting to it. But I think, with that viewership, it would be a bigger issue if the budget was higher.
Mm-hmm.
If this had the same budget as The Acolyte, maybe they say, all right, we're 100% done here, not doing a second season. But now knowing after what you said, dude, it's like half the budget. it was not nearly as big of a cost to them.
Yeah.
And it wasn't half the viewership. It was well over half the viewership for sure of the Acolyte. So I don't know. Is this? I'm just hoping that this all doesn't lead to repeatedly coming out with new shows and never expanding them past one season.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I think the budget helps. Obviously the low viewership is unfortunate, but I think a combination of the budget and it being like so highly rated.
Yeah.
I think that bodes well for it because I don't remember the Acolyte having great, even like from the critics. I don't remember it having like a super, like not nearly as high as Skeleton Crew has, rating wise. So I think that bodes well for it. I hope it does because, like we say, if they come on season 2, I will be there.
Yeah, I want that second season for sure.
Yeah, so I'm definitely hoping and praying that they don't cancel it because of the low viewership, because the budget's much smaller. Like you said, we have the fan base for it, and then the critics being very high on it as well.
Okay, well, now I think we can get into something that I wanted us to do. Our top 5 things from Skeleton Crew. Now, this is, a very, very loose description of things. It's whatever you want it to be, really. It could be a character. It could be something with the plot. It could be something small. Anything. We have our top 5s here. I'm going to go ahead and just run through my 5. And then I'll let you run through yours. Now, this one, at my number 5, I have the tribute to the holiday special. I had to throw it on my list because, one, I just love that they put in that type of reference. Like, that is, we talked about it. They don't have any cameos in the show, but they did little shit like that. They threw that in there when they're at the pirate spaceport. In the background, they have the the Disney ride or whatever. I forget exactly what it's called. They have the ship from it, docked in the background. They have Hondo's ship docked in the background. They sprinkle in these little things. When they're on the spa planet, they name drop Scipio, the planet Scipio that has been in previous things. They add on to this world where we're hearing things that we've heard in other stuff, but not using it like hey, here's this from this. These are all possibilities of things that could just come up, but we know it from previous stuff. And I love that they threw in the holiday special tribute. That's just, it was dude, I was so happy in that moment when I saw that.
I knew you were gonna have that on there.
Yeah, I knew you would know that. So, my number 4 is just the entire way that Jod is portrayed. I talked about it earlier about how he is just doing everything for himself. And throughout the entire season, it is thrown in your face that he is not good and not trustworthy, but the entire time you want to believe that they are wrong. You want to be like, oh yeah, he's trustworthy. But then they keep it literally what he has been this entire time is what he is. There's no trick behind it. He is who he is and exactly what you're watching.
Yeah.
And I like that. My number 3 is the music. I think like adding in like so many sort of pirate themes to it just hit so hard. Anything with that was just, it was gorgeous.
It was great.
My number 2 is the entire lore of Ad-Atten and the rest of the planets that are hidden. I think just I would have never thought of that. I said when we initially learned, I dead ass thought that they probably had a mint on Coruscant, because why the fuck not? But it makes so much more sense to completely fucking hide it from everyone in the galaxy. then you're not running the risk of anyone stealing any of it.
Exactly.
So I thought that was perfect. And my number 1, Mark, SM-33. Smee is my number 1. I
kind of expected it.
Dude, that is that Smee is Star Wars humor at its peak. Even in the finale, dude. Even in the finale, when it gets revealed that KB like fixed him up and turned him back on, like he's sitting in the pilot seat while KB is holding his head so he can see. And he says, "I can hold me head steady." and then when they go like right at the very end, they find KB after they crashed, and then he's like walking down the ramp and he's like, "Oh, that's one of my better landings."
Yeah.
Like shit like that is just like it's perfect. How they use him throughout the season, where you know they the previous captain made it so if anyone tried to ask about Ad-Atten, he would attack them. And the fact that he's so committed to the pirate code, but he's a fucking droid. Like, oh my, it's the perfect portrayal of a pirate droid.
Yes, absolutely. And I knew that was gonna be your number 1. I knew it. I had a small feeling. Like those, like the Christmas special, and then the Smee. I knew those two was gonna be were gonna be in your top 5. So. All right, well, you ready to hear my top 5? I think I got a pretty decent list here.
I'm actually I'm curious to see how it compares to mine.
Yeah, so my number 5 here, I got this when I think what was it, the second? Actually, no, it was the last episode. When they were confronting the supervisor, right? And I thought it was super great when the supervisor's like, he's like, "Oh, you're a Jedi, huh?" He's like,
yes.
The last message I got was that they were traitors from the Republic.
Yep.
I thought that was so cool. Like, that was a really good shout back to episode 3. And then I thought that made sense too. Like, the last message he would have received would have been that from the Republic, and then obviously they turned to the Empire. But then he wouldn't have got any messages after that. So I thought that was a really cool, and honestly sick moment in my opinion. Then for my number 4, we talked about this earlier, but the fact that it's a standalone story. I honestly love that it's just, it was like Andor. It's out of the way. It's its own thing. And especially with this too, with new characters, new everything. It really felt like a breath of fresh air to just see new characters, try to connect with these new characters, and then obviously eventually fall in love with these new characters as well. So it's a huge selling point for me on this show. Now my number 3, I got Wim's character development. I thought over the course of the season, it was phenomenal. He was so fascinated with these Jedi. Then obviously, Jod, he's like, "Oh, you a Jedi, huh?" And he's started teasing him with the Force and then the lightsaber. But then he realized that, hey, this guy isn't a good guy. Then by the end of it, he looks up at the New Republic X-Wings, and he found his new love, and he was always looking for something as well to do in the future. Like, he just didn't want to have a regular job, like his dad. He was really dreading the assessment. and then eventually he found something. Like it was implied that he wanted to be an X-wing pilot for the actual good guys,
the real good guys,
the real good guys. That's what it was, the real good guys. So I thought that was phenomenal. I really enjoyed to see his character develop through the 8 episodes. Now my number 2, At-Atten, as a whole. Obviously, it was on yours.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just love it. It gave me callbacks to Jedi Survivor with Tana Lore. Obviously, At-Atten was man-made, but still, it gave me callbacks to that. The whole them making the Mint, the Old Republic Mint, and then having all these planets on top of that as well. I mean, it just, like you said, it just makes sense to do this. So in that way, nobody can steal, and then obviously the pirates think it's a legend. So it adds to the lore of the planet and the story in general as well. And then number 1, this may be predictable, may not be. It's Jud Law.
Okay.
I love Jud Law. Obviously, I keep saying it, but this man deserves his flowers for this show. His acting was peak, as always. Phenomenal character. Absolutely killed the role. Obviously, his character was not as likable as him, but because he did some pretty messed up things. But
he was mean to the kids, man.
Yeah, he's absolutely mean to the kids. But man, it's Jud Law. I can't hate him. I love him. He's a great actor. Obviously known from King Arthur: Legend of the Sword. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's a great movie. Quick shout there.
Also, The Holiday. Classic Christmas movie.
Another great shout there. But yeah, that's definitely, I said it earlier too, but he was definitely my favorite part of the show, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. Well, Skeleton Crew, obviously phenomenal show. We both have talked about. I mean, it might be pushing top 3 for us. I think it's if I really sat down and thought about it, I think I would confirm it in my top 3 at the moment. Maybe I'm a little biased because we're coming fresh off of it, but I just absolutely loved it as a standalone story, like you were saying. So,
yes.
But phenomenal show. And now we move into a segment on the show. We're going to be doing a tier list for every single episode of this season. Oh. So in front of us, we've got 6 tiers, S, A, B, C, D, and F. And we've got 8 episodes. So obviously, we are doing this in a way that we are ranking them against each other. Not like if we put an episode in F, I think we got to clarify that it's not bad. It's just maybe lower than the other ones. You know what I mean?
Okay, I get what you mean. Yeah.
So, first episode. Where do you like that one?
Honestly, I liked it. Like it really, like, it grabbed me instantly.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great opener. The kids, obviously, they were going through all their different struggles, obviously, which ended up getting resolved. So it introduced you to the characters, gave you a great introduction to them. Kind of, you can kind of see their struggles and where their lives are at right now. And then obviously they discover the ship, the pirate ship, and then they end up taking it off in this episode, or is that episode 2?
Yes, right at the end, I believe.
Okay, yeah, then they ended up getting it in the sky. I thought it was a great opener. And like I said, it grabbed me instantly. I might I'm like teetering like A, B, I think.
I'd be fine with A, to be honest.
Okay.
I think it's up there for sure.
Too. It was definitely one of my favorite episodes for sure.
Okay, and then on to episode 2, which is, I'm not gonna lie, this is like really the start of the adventure.
Yes.
Where we meet Smee almost at the very beginning of the episode. We're seeing all around the ship. They go to the pirate spaceport.
Oh, that was so
We're
cool.
going through seeing all of that. And then we finally meet Jud Law right at the end of it.
Oh, and his reveal was so good, too. And same with Smee's. His reveal was so good, too.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you, Mark.
Oh my gosh.
This is in contention for one of the best episodes of the season for me.
Same. Now that I'm thinking about
I-
it, this might be S.
I think this is S tier.
I'm throw it an S. I'm
It
confirming
is.
it.
I think it was a brilliant idea for them to do a double premiere because of this episode. Like this, for the first impression, like the first night that the episodes come out, you get to end on this episode. And I think that's perfect.
Yeah, that like the episode 1 was a great opening. You got introduced to the kids and the parents and everybody. And then episode 2, you get Smee, Jude Law, pirates. So like in those first 2 episodes, you get like everybody that you need for the rest of the story too.
Yeah.
Which is also great. So
then we move on to episode 3. This is where we meet Kim at the end of it. This is the escape from the pirate spaceport. And then we've got them kind of mingling on the ship. We learn about Ad-Atten, like, being a myth and everything. And then they obviously go to Kim to try to get the coordinates and everything. So I think this is also pretty good of an episode. I might put it B. I really do like this. I think the escape at the start is really good.
That was a good opener to the episode, yeah.
So I'm very partial to the visuals on this episode. Dude, when they're on like Kim's moon and they're doing like the silhouettes with the gas giant in the background. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, it might be even higher because of that.
And didn't they have like some funny dialogue too when they were walking right there too? I thought they had some funny dialogue or something.
They might have.
In that
well, then
I don't remember. There was a lot of funny dialogue.
Well, this is also when like Kim greets him as a different name, and they're like, "I thought your name was Jod." Like, it's pretty trolly.
Oh man, you might have talked me into A here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. And then this is also at the end when they're getting on the ship to leave, when the X-Wings show up, where the kids like finally leverage Jod, and they're like, "You work for us."
Yes.
Because we're the captain, and like they use Smee as like the guard dog, like
bodyguard, yeah.
Like if you disagree, this motherfucker's after you. Like that's I love that.
This is A.
This is A.
You sold me. It's A.
All right. Now on to the 4th episode. This is when they go to Akron, Ohio. It's top 1 worst places on planet Earth.
Top 3 in an 8-3 or 2.
Yeah. I think this is also just a really fun episode. I love the kind of the interactions of the kids with the other kids on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Does it do like a crazy amount for... I don't know if it does a crazy amount for building the characters. Like, we see how nice Neil is to everyone, like, and he kind of... I forget the girl's name, but he really like changes her view on everything. But I don't think it does much for the main characters. Really, it's kind of all in the ending that does more for our characters.
Yeah, definitely. Like, because like you at the end of this episode, like you said earlier, Jod, he came back and saved the kids. So then they were super grateful, and they then they started to let their guards down a little bit.
Yeah,
because he ended up coming back and saving them. So.
And we get the whole ending with them in the supervisor's tower.
Yeah, Yeah.
And Fern has like the whole thing with Smee where she's pissed off at him and just distraught, and then you have the discussion of her and Wim, and she like the light bulb pops in her head that she can manipulate this droid like she does the ones back home.
Yep.
And then the whole crazy ending of Neil standing up to him.
Neil being brave.
He definitely would have died, but
Yes.
Jod hits the off switch.
Yep.
This is probably my first B. The thing is, I really like it, but when I'm thinking about it compared to the rest of the episodes,
yeah, I can't throw it A. I don't think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go B as well. I think B is actually a good spot for it.
All right. And then on to episode 5. This is the first real turning point of the season.
Yeah.
So we've got the spa planet. This is where Jod really starts showing some real frustration with the kids when they're in their hotel room and Jod's going over the plan and the kids are just not locked in whatsoever.
They were geeked.
Yes. They were having the time of their lives. Like
it was like, so funny. It was so funny.
They're talking about all the different places that they're gonna go search for his little symbol to try to find the treasure room, and then Neil and Wim say that they were gonna go check the buffet for it. Like, Sean's like, we're not going to the buffet.
That's the type of comedy that I just love in this show, dude. It is so good. This episode definitely had a lot of that.
Yes.
Which was great.
And obviously we get Catholops, the friendly fucking like squid dude that looks like the Grinch. So random.
That dude looked insane.
We get to see the treasure room. We finally find out the coordinates we're at, and then
didn't with that Catholics didn't the one like worker go down to like give him something and he like grabbed him? He's like, oh no, not again, or something like that.
No, that wasn't Catholics. That was one of the huts. Oh, that was one of the huts in the mud bath, and
that's right.
The worker comes out, and instead of grabbing the food off the tray, he grabs the worker. He's like, no, please, no, not again.
The not again was great.
Yeah.
It's like, this happened again?
But then we get the turning point of Jod he completely changes. Completely.
Like you said, flips the switch.
Yeah, and he is menacing.
Yeah.
Because, like we talked about earlier, this show is from the perspective of the kids, and you feel like you're one of them when you see Jod turn.
Yes.
And I think that is just, it's such a highlight in this episode.
And when he ignites the lightsaber too at the end.
Yeah.
Like you hear the ignition. Oh man.
This is up there. Because then you get the parts at the beginning where they're learning about Tak Renid and how he died, how he like cut everyone off on the ship, like he locked himself in the cockpit, and because he didn't trust anyone else when they were actually getting to Ad-Atten, and then he had a concubine that stabbed him and killed him.
Yep.
You learn all about that, and then fucking Smee being completely distraught over them ruining Skullridge Mountain by putting a spa on it.
Yeah, dude, he was so distraught.
Like, this is Skullridge Mountain? They ruined it! So, from front to back, this is a hilarious episode, but then there's a lot of serious shit happening throughout.
Yeah, you have the humor, you have the serious, you have the turn This is the turning point in this show. You have the turn. You know, talking about it, I might give it S.
I will probably also give it S. I think it is up there. It's so good. Moving on to number 6. This is really the KB episode.
Yes. Yeah.
We get to learn a lot about her and how she was in some sort of accident, and now she is, I mean, probably more machine than person. So and then we get learn a lot of her relationship with Fern, and how she's a kid.
Oh yeah.
And she doesn't want to have like a tough discussion with Fern, like explaining that she just cannot do some of the things that Fern thinks she can do.
Yeah.
Just a lot of turmoil within the group, mostly because of what just happened.
Yes.
Like, they are even more distraught. Like, they went from, in the 4th episode, Fern was crying because she felt like there was no way home. They finally find this way home, and now they're right back into a situation where they're even further than they were 2 episodes ago. Like,
yep.
They're even further away from home. So, like, it's an understandable disagreement between all of them. But really, like, there's not a whole lot going on in the episode. Yeah, it's a lot of down-to-earth character development.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was gonna say. It's a lot of character development between. I mean, mainly it was Fern and KB, I felt like, but definitely, like, Wim and Neil were definitely added. They added a little humor in there, and, you know, they had a little bit of development as well, trying to get the different perspectives from KB and Fern as well.
And Wim learns a lot about KB as well.
Exactly. And she joked about, like, the almost, like, near-death thing, like, when he was, I don't know any of the parts, but when he was helping her, helping her out with the stuff in her head. I thought that was a great little interaction.
I love this show so much, I'd be hard pressed to put it in C. I probably want to go B.
I think it's on the level of, what is that, episode?
Yeah, episode 4.
4, yeah. Yeah, I would say it's probably on 4. Yeah, episode
like I was
4
saying,
level.
like, it wasn't a very plot moving episode.
Yeah.
Which maybe holds it back a little bit, but I think the character development is great. And then, like, you have you're seeing a lot with Jod and him getting actually, you know, captured by the pirates and stuff. So, then we move on to episode 7, where we really get to see a lot with Jod and the pirates. And then, oh my god, we finally make it back to At-Atten.
Yes.
And this, like, maybe people would argue the finale, but this is, to me, Jod at his most menacing.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah.
Like, he is scary in this episode.
Yeah, because I remember at one point when they got that message from their parents, and Jod was like, I'm glad they sent that message, so now I know, you know, if you guys try anything, I know the faces of your parents to, like, carve them up or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, like you said, he means business. Like, he's, like, this is definitely his most menacing, like, episode is this. There's zero good intentions here.
Yeah. And then this is also where you see him kill Brutus.
Yes.
Right in front of everyone.
Mm-hmm. Which was, I mean, that was brutal. the way that he did that, it was brutal.
Yeah. And I mean, they start the episode off almost throwing him out the airlock multiple times. He's on the brink of death, saves himself.
Yep.
And then at the first moment he has the opportunity, he takes out Brutus and he becomes the captain.
Yeah, because he realized with Brutus there, he wasn't really like the first chance they were gonna get to kill him, they were gonna do it. So he needed to get rid of him first, so then he could eventually lead everybody else again down to At.
Yeah, and then we get the whole that, like you were talking about the video with their parents. I think that is also a big turning point for Jod, because you can tell that probably had a massive effect on him and his trauma, because he sees how loved these kids are and how good of families they have, and he didn't have that.
Yep.
And it just adds on to the jealousy. And then when they do the whole claimsies thing,
that was great.
Smee knocks everyone out.
Yep.
He goes crazy. He's back on the good side. And then Jod sneaks back on the Onyx Cinder.
Somehow. And
he has his whole monologue with the kids on board after he cuts off Smee's head. You have where she like wants to speak up. Everyone else was speaking up, and he is just berating them. And she wants to speak up so bad, and he even says something like, "Yeah, what do you want to say?
Yep.
Like, what do you have to say?" And she just can't even find the words.
Yeah, at this point, obviously, like, he had been fed up, but he was like they were saying stuff, and he was just like ripping into these kids, like no remorse whatsoever.
Yeah. So I mean, just a scary episode.
Yes, this is
seeing
Jod
like that.
Yes.
And then you get the ending, obviously, where he finally makes it on, gets to the vault. We get the reveal of all the credits.
And then I think he ignited his lightsaber again at the end.
Yes, he ignites it at the end.
And the ending too, it set up the finale so perfectly too.
Man.
Man.
It's S or A.
I'm gonna go A.
You're gonna go A?
I might go A.
Okay. I'm not mad at it.
Because I'm thinking about it too much, and if I think about it too much, I feel like I should just put it in.
Yeah. Moving on to the final episode, the finale. This was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Yep. Really, the start of the episode, Jod kind of he sends everyone else off to their quarters. They're supervised by droids, so they can't say anything to their parents. And then he goes along with
up too. I remember in that part. That was great.
And then he goes along with Fern and her mother to see the supervisor. We get the reveal of the supervisor. It's a droid. Absolutely phenomenal turn. I just love that. Was it somewhat predictable? Yeah. But it makes so much sense. That's why it was predictable.
If it makes sense, why go in another direction?
Yeah. Then we get the whole reveal that he's a pirate. The thing you talked about earlier with the last message they got was that the Jedi were traitors. So Jod tried to lean into the Jedi card like he was an important person, and it backfired for him.
Yep.
And he takes out the power, that frees up everyone else to do everything. Wim's dad, Wendell, absolute legend in this episode. His character development in this episode,
this
perfect.
He might have been the shining spot in this episode, I think.
Yes.
Like you said when we were watching it too at the end, like when he got that first like adrenaline rush from that jump, like he was geeked the rest of the episode.
And
he was absolutely going crazy.
And after all that, and having like the pirates shooting at him, like he finally believes his son. He knows that this is something serious, and he is going to have to do something about it. Yep. And he trusts his son finally.
And when he said like, when I think Wim asked his dad like, "Can you like cut the power?" And what did he? When is he say? "I'm a level 7." I forget his position, but
so level 7 something manager. So he knows how to turn the power back on in the supervisor's tower. Yeah, like you get that reveal because Wim never knew what his dad did.
Exactly, yeah.
And you get that reveal of his official title.
Yep.
And then he goes into the supervisor tower to help him. Wim has the perfect distraction of the most kid thing ever, like basically telling Jod a story, and then Fern goes along with it. And all of the different dialogue between Jod and whether it be Fern, her mother, Wim, Wendell, all of them, like all of the dialogue exchange in the supervisor's tower is absolutely perfect.
That's peak Star Wars.
Yes, that is peak.
My mind. No doubt.
We get to see Wim on the turbo laser.
That was great.
KB flies with Smee. We get the reveal that Smee's back. And the pirates end up shooting her down, but she called Kim. New Republic on its way. KB falls down, and that is maybe the one thing in this episode that's just not believable whatsoever.
Oh yeah.
Like they want to make it believable in that moment that she died, and like Fern's reaction to it is crazy, and then like Jod that whole time is like he doesn't want to hurt anyone, and he's pissed that they sent KB up to do that because he knew she would get shot down.
Exactly, because
not that he wanted that to happen, he just knew it would happen, and he's pissed at them because he didn't want that to happen.
He was even pissed before when they said that she was going up.
Yeah,
I remember he was pissed then. He was pissed when she was going down, and she didn't pull the ship back up, and everybody thought the worst. And then, like you said, that really sent him over the edge. He was irate at that point.
Yeah. So then you get this little monologue of him talking about like he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He talks about, he's like, what do you call this? The great work? This like I love this. I want you all to be able to go back and just do your jobs and live how you always did. And then that's when Wendell has the sleeper agent. He gets up, throws a haymaker. They finally blow up the barrier, and that's just that's really the ending there. Jod accepts defeat. Mm-hmm. You see, everyone sees stars for the first time. Everyone on the planet all at once sees stars.
That reveal was great too. That was awesome.
And then as they like the barrier goes away and everyone sees the stars, and in that moment like everyone on the planet is seeing stars for the first time, and then all the X-wings and the B-wings come flying down right into the shot.
Yeah, the B-wings taking out the pirate. What do they call it? Like, it was the pirate ship. I forget what they called it though exactly. But yeah, the B-wings swooping down and taking that out with ease. Like that shot, because I seen it on Twitter again, and I was like, oh my gosh, this shot is phenomenal.
Yeah, and you get to see like what it's only been shown in Rebels, I think, of like the 4 points on the B wing all focusing into one beam.
Yep.
So that's pretty sick.
That shot was awesome.
And dude, this had a lot of great visuals at the end, especially. So then you have like the moment between Wim and Jod where like Wim's calling out his name and Jod just kind of looks back at him, and they go back down the supervisor's tower and Jod is still up there, and you see the shot of like the pirate ship going down from the window and him like walking up. You get like the behind shot of him, and then it turns around and just like the shot of his face, and you see like the wheels turning in his head as he's watching it all go down. And they go get KB, and that's it.
That's the episode.
And it was absolute peak the whole way through. This is an easy S tier for me.
I mean, that's S for me as well. There's no doubt in my mind it's S.
This had everything that you want from this show. Every good part of every other episode was included in this.
Yes.
You get a good ending, and just peak Star Wars, man. Peak Star Wars.
When I get a good ending in Star Wars, I love it. I'm here for it. Too many bad endings in this series. I need some good endings, and this is a good one, and I love it.
Well, I think that does it for episode 1 of Diner Talk. For everyone listening at this point, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed Skeleton Crew as well. Please subscribe if you haven't. I would imagine if you are an hour and a half into a podcast, you're probably subscribed to that channel, but please subscribe, like, comment. Let us know what you loved about this show, what you might want to hear us talk about next. Also, join the Discord, link in the description. The Courageous Shooters Compound. It's the place to be. You'll get all notifications for any videos that we upload or anything that's going on. I put out frequent updates of things that are happening. So please join the Discord and just be on the lookout for future podcasts. We don't have a schedule for this podcast. It's just going to come out as we feel. And I mean, me and Mark both talked about it. This was the perfect time to come out with the first episode after a show like this. So thank you all for watching, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.